Friends, family, fans, welcome back to another episode of Friends, Family, Fans. Welcome back to another episode of Back Nine Bets, baby. Episode 180, The Fresh Prince of Bellerive. I know Sia Najad would appreciate that one. Nice little Fresh Prince of Bel-Air off take over there. We've got a couple bets. Not a lot, just a couple. It is the top 50 of the PGA Tour who is playing this week, so not a lot of names to choose from. From a betting perspective, the top of the board seems pretty clumped up there, but that's okay, because the good people at DRAFTKINGS, using code FGD, have got some of the best outright numbers in the market over there for you to use as a first-time depositor. We'd really appreciate that. As you are joining in, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We are ready to rock and roll. I'm going to post this out to Twitter quickly, and then we're going to rock and roll even further than that because I'm seeing myself on screen, and we are going to have a good time. Going to be going through all top 50 guys, so we are going to be going hard at the paint, once we get to the DFS side of things. We are live. Alrighty. It's Bellerive Country Club, baby. So we've got an interesting golf course. Let's just dive right into it. I've got the scorecard over here for you guys in the micro model side of things. It's a 7,450 yard golf course, so we're going to be expecting some big bombers to take advantage of this golf course in a big way. 7,448 yards per the scorecard. 4 par 3s, 2 par 5s. Both par 5s are 600 yards and beyond, so you got some long approach shots coming in there. But we are basically going to be looking at Scotty Scheffler. If you take a look at what we can expect from him on an approach side of things, he's going to have 2 shots from 50 to 100, 5 shots from 100 to 150, 6 shots from 150 to 200, and 5 shots from 200 plus. Scotty Scheffler hits the ball. The 24th is right in the middle of the pack this week for driving distance. So middle of the field in that department, he's going to be hitting his golf ball on average 310 yards around here, at least projected-wise. Then we go to Rory McIlroy. We'll be hitting at 318 yards, and he should only have 3 shots from inside of 100, 4 shots from 100 to 150, 7 from 150 to 200, and 4 from 200 plus, where Scotty's got that 5th extra shot. There must be some sort of a par 4 where Rory just gets inside that 200-yard marker. So a bit of a different feel to the FedEx St. Jude at TPC Southwind. I think this golf course could potentially benefit the likes of Rory and others of his ilk a little more than what we saw last week, where total driving was a bit more rewarding than we'll get this week, in my opinion. I think a lot of distance will be beneficial. There will be someone who's long that finds a lot of fairways this week and has a good approach and putting week, and then we're good to go there. That's basically what we are looking for here. If we take a look at the micro model, it's medium and easy scoring this week for sure. Micro model boxes are we checking this week? Medium and easy scoring, number 1. Number 2 box is micro model ranking, which was the course fit that I just showed you there. We want some recent form for the last 2 months. We want guys that have good finish rates over the last 12 months. We want good model rankings, and we want driving distance. Those are our 6 boxes to check. If you have a pink font, it means you checked 5 of those boxes. We've got 4 guys on the screen with that going on here. We got 2 guys. We have checked 4 boxes, and then they're on. So let's filter by the model. Let's chat some golf. It's hilarious that you could have got Scotty Scheffler for a top 5 last week at plus 100. Now, this week, he is plus 300 to win the tournament. So fun. We'll chat more about Scotty Scheffler in the DFS side of things. Then we've got Sam Burns second in the model. I'm not a big Sam Burns believer, but this week we are betting Sam Burns 20-1. You can find that on the dualage front over there, the blue book that has got the Sam Burns color code over there for us. I think Sam Burns, number 2 in the model, but he's been trending like a son of a gun. So we're going to be looking at Sam Burns in the outright market at 20-1 and Sam Burns top 10 at plus 165 at the book floating on the rivers over there. I think it's a nice number compared to elsewhere, ties included. Sam Burns finishing inside the top 10 about 33% of the time. But if you take a look at what Sam Burns has got up to recently, it's 12th, it's 2nd, it's 3rd, and it's 3rd. So buddy has just been balling out. I think he's got immense upside. There's a lot to like about Sam Burns' profile, so we'll be betting 0.3 units on that 20-1 outright. We'll be betting the rest of the unit 0.7 on the top 10 at plus 165 to win a unit there, and then to win 6 units on the 20-1 number. So that's how we're rocking and rolling with Sam Burns. The transition from from Bermuda to Bentgrass is not necessarily going to be that big of a deal. He leads the field in strokes gained on Bentgrass greens, whereas Matt Fitzpatrick, Nico, Echeverria, Alex Noren are all ahead of him on Bermuda. He used to be Bermuda Burns, the best Bermuda putter in the world. Now he's no longer that guy. He's Bent Burns. Bent Sam Bent. Not Sam Bennett, Sam Bent, who is going to be doing good things. Nico and Matt Fitzpatrick, not necessarily the best Bentgrass putters, but Noren and Sam Burns are. So if we filter by this Bentgrass again, Sam Burns, top of the pack, gaining 3/4 of a stroke per round, putting on Bentgrass greens. And then if you take a look at what these guys really get up to here, Sam Burns' biggest deficiency is finding fairways and chipping around the greens. At this golf course, I'm predicting, obviously the last time they played here was 2018. That's a very, very long time ago. If you want some Sam Burns in your life, this is the perfect golf course for that. I expect green regulation rates to be higher than tour average. I expect guys who are missing fairways to still find enough greens. The greens are massive, so they should be able to hold them from the rough as well. Sam Burns particularly good when it comes to just these long golf courses. Not top 10 in the field in distance, but he's definitely got some pop. You know, this is not a terrible. Where does he rank in distance wise? 11th. So he almost checked that box, which would have had him being pink as well. So you're getting that distance there for 11th. He is the best Bentgrass greens putter in the field, hits a lot of green irregulations. So this around the green number, not too concerned about that, because again, if you're going to be pounding greens in regulation, less chipping, more putting, more of what Sam Burns does best, less of what Sam Burns does poorly. That's what I'm liking about this 20-1 on Sam Burns. If he doesn't come through, then we got rocking and rolling top 10 at plus 165 with those ties paid in full. Let's freaking go with Samuel Burnsage this week. Getting back to the model, filter that by what we have over here. We went with Tommy Fleetwood last week for the top 10. That cashed. We went 2 of 3 on our props, so we made a unit there. Had a losing week because the first round leaders and the outrights never came home to roost. We had a Matt Fitzpatrick each way that missed by a double bogey on the last hole. Tough scenes. You know, kind of almost had a profitable week if it wasn't for Fitz. But again, whenever the props are profitable, that is always good. I'm a fan of just having our top 20s get home. Hideki got home for us. Russell Henley was the only one that did not. He finished 30th, the Sex Panther, kind of getting himself a little closer to the realm of 60% top 20 rate now after the miscut there. So Sam Burns doing some good stuff in the model. We're going to move on to our next guy. Tommy Fleetwood cashed that top 10 bet for us, but I don't really fancy him at this kind of a golf course right now. He's obviously playing fantastic golf. I just don't know about that ceiling that we're looking for Tommy. It barely cashed around St. Jude, where he's got fantastic track record. He does a lot of his heavy lifting with around the green play. Again, if you're going to be pounding fairways and pounding greens, a lot more putting involved, a lot less chipping. So one of his biggest skill sets is going to be missing. And he's not necessarily one of the best green irregulation finders. So that's another reason why he's such a good around the green player. We're kind of just going to move along. And then we're going to go to Collin Morikawa, number 4 in the model for me. Fantastic on easy scoring conditions. You know, struggles around the green, not a problem there. Obviously one of the best iron players in the field. If we take a look at strokes gained approach this week, he leads the pack. Nobody on this golf course, based off of his fairway rates, based off of his green regulation rates, based off of the various proximities he's going to be coming in from, nobody in this field hits his irons better than Collin Morikawa. He leads the field over there. Then he's also losing strokes around the greens. guess what? Collin Morikawa going to be pounding greens in regulation, going to be hitting a lot of greens with a lot of fairways, massive greens. He should not be missing them this week. His biggest nagging injury, nagging deficiency in his game, going to be eliminated to some degree this week around the greens. You know, we've spoken about that already with old Sam Burns. So this is what we're getting from Collin Morikawa. He is 38-1 right now at DraftKings. So I have seen that drift. There was a 35 at a different book, and now DraftKings has the 38. I think if we wake up tomorrow, maybe I've been waiting for a 40 to drop out there, but I think with as books get their numbers, books get their handles, books get their holds, blah-de-blah-de-blah, we will see hopefully Collin Morikawa's number drift towards a 40-1. So I'm going to go with Kawa Bunga 40-1 potentially. Let's go and just put that on the screen here just for interest's sakes. The best ball striker in the field over the last little while is Scotty Scheffler, obviously. But if you take a look at Collin, over the last 2 months, 1.7 strokes gained. It's only Sam Burns and Scotty Scheffler who are gaining more strokes ball striking than Collin Morikawa. So this is another reason you want to go to Sam Burns, another reason you want to go to Collin. Obviously, a lot of misnomers, misdirection, misfortune with Collin the last little while. We never know where the injury is. He just had a child. Life is chaotic. But what we do know the most is if you go strokes gained bent versus other surfaces, this is how I came across Collin Morikawa this week. He's going to be gaining almost a stroke more on bent grass greens than he was on Bermuda. So Collin has been playing Bermuda surfaces non-stop. If we take a look at his recent finishes here, let's just take a look at Collin Morikawa's stuff. Where are you? Geez, $8,600 all the way down there. I love to see that. Okay, so the Open was on fescue. The Travelers was bent. Guess what? Finished third over there. US Open, I think, was some overseeded Bermuda type stuff at Shinnecock. Canadian Open, I don't necessarily know what that was. PGA Championship, I think, was bent grass. Did not play very good there that week. Cadillac Championship, Bermuda. RBC Heritage, Bermuda. Masters Tournament, he gained 1 million strokes, bent grass greens. Memorial, 5th place finish there. Guess what? Bent grass greens. So you're getting all of these pictures from Collin Morikawa. The Genesis Invitational, Pebble Beach, they're all POA, so he's, that season's behind us. He typically does his best work on these like overseeded Bermudas / bent grass greens. Give me Collin Morikawa in this environment at these kind of numbers. If we can get a 40 to drift to us, I'm going to pounce on that. We've got the Sam Burns 20-1. We've got the Collin Morikawa. There's a 38 there that I will be betting if that is what it remains at, but we're waiting on this number to kind of drift. We've seen it open and move towards us. So it's going to close higher than it did open. Whereas other names like the guy we'll chat about next, it's going to be Windham Clark. I don't even have him over here. There we go, 35-1. Drop that in the Model Maniac Patreon / Discord earlier. And as a result, we're going to be going to him at that price. It's kind of shrunk a smidgen to around about the 30 number there. The reason we like Windham Clark this week is not just the fact that he is 5th in the model, which I love to see. It's the fact that he is a fantastic putter on bent grass greens. If we go back to this putting charts over here, the majority of our betting card is going to be found at the top of this filter, bent minus other surfaces, which means that you are putting better on bent versus all the other surfaces. Windham Clark, one of his best surfaces is bent. He gains half a stroke on the field in bent surfaces. That is, in fact, the 3rd best bent putting in the field. He's neutral when it comes to Bermuda, and he loses 0.3 strokes on POA despite having won at Pebble Beach a while ago. The 2 tournaments that Windham Clark won this year, he won the CJ Cup Byron Nelson, bent grass greens. Then he won the US Open, overseeded Bermuda, whatever, not necessarily that big of a deal. I don't think it's super predictive, but he has also won then his other tournament that he won last. It wasn't the Truest, it was LACC, which was also bent grass greens. So 2 of his 5 wins have come on bent grass greens, the other on POA, the other on Bermuda, and the other on overseeded. So it's the one surface that he's got multiple wins on. The others are all kind of, their own unique surface. Enough about Windham Clark on bent. Let's chat about what he does best as well. Windham Clark got some distance off the tee. Used to be one of the longer hitters in the field. Not so much anymore, but still above average. Doesn't do a good job of finding a lot of fairways, but he does a great job of getting himself out of the rough, especially with wedges. If we go over to Windham Clark's profile, it's probably going to be right in that Rory, Scotty range, distance-wise. So, just taking a look at the micro model, we're going to expect Scotty to hit 2 from 50 to 100, 5 from 100 to 150, 6 from 150 to 200, and 5 from 200 plus. So a nice variety of approach shots for Windham Clark as well. They basically hit the ball as far as each other. So like to see that a lot from Windham. If we take a look at just how he's been trending over the last little while, Windham Clark is doing some good work in the more recent months. Let's just go over the last 2 months. If we go to the last 4, obviously that's when he won his couple tournaments. We've had a bit of a situation since we've gone to the Open Championship and the Rocket Classic, not quite there for us. But the overarching form is still absolutely there. I mean, over the last 4 months, he's still been the second best player in the world in this field behind Scotty Scheffler. So we've got that going for us. Windham Clark is number 5 in the model. He's 35 to 1 in our betting board over here. Give me that all day long. We'll be chasing a placement situation for Windham Clark as well. Was trying to find something for him, but it's just been difficult to do. So you'll probably just find the top 5 number that's come out lately. Some books have just recently dropped their stuff this morning. I've also been looking after Mini Maniac all week long since daycare opens next week and wife is at school already. So this is just the world we live in. So she's napping. We're not going to get caught napping on that Clark top 5, but we're going to be hitting the snooze button until we find the right number there. That'll happen, though, for us, for sure. So Windham Clark, distance. If you take a look at approach play, he's going to be found if you look for strokes gained out of the rough inside of 150. Windham Clark tends to pop up a little bit better over here. Goodness gracious, where are you, Windham? Probably rolled right by it. Yeah, so he's 13th in the field in strokes gained out the rough inside of 150. He hits a lot of green regulations from 200 plus out of the fairway. He's 17th in the field in strokes gained from 150 to 200 and 26th from 100 to 150. So he's pretty solid across the board. Not too concerned about these green regulation rates. It's more so about strokes gained for me. And then out of the rough from 150 and beyond, we tend to struggle a little bit. Does Windham. So we'll have to figure that out, but I think we're going to expect some good things from Windham Clark. I love a big open ballpark for him. Let's go get it, baby. I'm in the mood for food with Windham Clark. All sky. Beautiful. Let's check in on some comments over here. I got big hitters on my card, Thorbjornsen, Ludwig, and Xander. Exactly. I think that's exactly where you want to be. Yes, Ludwig, yes, Xander, but unfortunately they didn't grade out as great for me this week. Some form issues. Xander has been starting to hit the strides that we're looking for from Xander Schauffele, but still not popping particularly hard for us. The last 2 starts doing some good work there, but again, we're going to be waiting a little longer. Not the greatest putter on bent grass greens is Xander. So maybe he gets it together, maybe he doesn't. I like him in majors a lot more. Ludwig obviously making a lot of sense too, but doesn't grade out nearly as nicely as the rest of the gang. So that's what's cooking over there. We're moving on to the next comment here. What do you think of Ryan Fox from Neil Stegman? Bad at Jude, but good round 4, only 6,200. Yeah. That was a lot of these guys. If you go take a look at these recent finishes over here, we've got Scotty Scheffler was the only guy of the first 4 to not have a 3-week gap in play. This is why he came and played the 3M. He wanted to be ready for St. Jude. He said so at his 3M presser. I'm here so that I don't have a 3-week layoff prior to the playoffs. Boom, goes and wins it by 8. Everyone else, Rory, the last thing he did was finish 40th at the Open. Then he finished up a 66th over there. Tommy Fleetwood, same situation, 3 weeks off, 7th. Sam Burns, 3 weeks off, just a new dad, 3rd. Xander did play the Rocket, finished 2nd at that. Nice to see. Ludwig also took 3 weeks off since the Open. A lot of gaps. So Ryan Fox is absolutely in that discussion. He obviously won the Open, so massive hangover going on, but then finished 58th, like you said, fantastic round 4. Looked good there. He obviously had an open golf course ahead of him. Played that round with Sahith Theegala in 3 hours, I think. Fun round to track over there. Ryan Fox does a lot of good things out of the fairway, out of the rough in particular, actually. If you go take a look at Foxy, his approach play out of the rough is where you really want to take a peek. Not the greatest in easy and medium scoring conditions in this field. Again, he's $6,200, still not terrible. But if you take a look at strokes gained from 150 and beyond out of the rough, 6th in the field. Strokes gained from inside 150 out of the rough, 11th in the field. Every other metric for him is not nearly as good from a strokes gain perspective. These are his 2 superior strengths. No matter where you are out of the rough, if your name's Ryan Fox, you are looking to be in the mood to hit iron shots well out of the rough. So let's see what he can do. Ideally, you want to have this main 150 to 200 range be a bit better than the others, but gonna have to figure it out. You know, he's a lot of these golf shots are going to be in the rough, about 65% hit fairway rate last year, I think. So 2/3 of your shots from the middle of the fairway-ish, and then another third coming from the rough. He's going to have to separate himself in that department. When it comes to bent grass greens, he does a lot better on bent versus Bermuda, 14th in the field in bent. So that's good to see over there. Obviously plays very good golf on round 4 when the chips are low. So if you don't want to get invested in him early, granted at $6,200, you're going to have to play him all week long or just in showdown in round 4. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, he's gaining 1.2 strokes in round 4 while basically losing in rounds 1 and 3 and gaining 0.4 in round 2. So there's your Ryan Fox situation. I don't hate him. At his price in particular, I kind of like him a lot on this golf course. Wasn't in the mood for him last week. Obviously, we've eventually kind of knocked that rust off over there. So there's your Ryan Fox discussion for you guys. Couple more I saw in the chat. Scotty already passing Rory in Korea is insane. Yes, it is. It's hilarious because this is the time to make... I mean, Scotty passed Tiger, I think, in career money list as well, from if Kenny Kim has any accuracy about that statement. So lots to like. Cantley this week or nah? He's one of these guys. He's just 10th in the model. That's where he is. If you take a look at how he compares to his power rankings, that's 5 spots ahead of his DK price. Can't go wrong with that. Again, the smaller these fields get, the less it matters to me, though, because what's Patrick Cantley done from an upside perspective? His best finish the last little while was an 8th at the Rocket. It's 14th, it's 28th, it's 8th, it's 12th. There's 2 missed cuts involved there as well when there were cuts to miss. So he's like such a tweener for me. I've called him 50 Shades of Grey. He's just in this gray zone. I don't know if he's got any upside, but his floor is through the roof. He's a potential bet, to be honest with you. In fact, what is a Patrick Cantley top 20 at this golf course? Because the thing is, I like him top 20, but I don't like... We're going to have to go, drop minus 150 on a top 20 for Patrick Cantley, if that's what we want to do. Minus 160, tires paid in full. That's like yuck. So maybe we can find a top 20 without the tires paid in full and get a bit of a better number. Also, if you shop around, that tends to help you. Minus 128 for Patrick Cantley to finish inside the top 20 this week. He does so at a 55% clip. You know, that's a bit more of a realistic realm you want to live in. He's been fantastic in that market. Again, like if you just filter by the best guys in the field, everyone above him has got 10% more top 5s than he does. That's like the next worst guy, and that's Alex Noren. When Alex Noren has got 9% more top 5s than you do, and your name's Patrick Cantley, you just don't have upside. But again, 55% top 20 rate's not terrible either. So you're kind of getting what you're paying for. He's just kind of a nothing burger, in my opinion. It's just, he's meh. He's meh. So that's that. All right. I'll get back to some more questions. Let's get to some more bets as we rock and roll through this. We've spoken about all of these guys. Let's talk about, did I say Jake Knap? top 20 at plus 110. Have I done this? Why was I saying we're not going to nap on that earlier? Was it somebody else? It was Windham Clark, I think, that we were saying, because the child was napping. Here's Jake napping. So Jake Knap, 24th in the model for me. He's a top 10 beast, finishing inside the top 10 38% of the time, finishing inside the top 20 56% of the time. We're getting top 20 at plus 110. This is a 50-man field. This includes ties at the bit that's floating on the river. It's under that combinable finishes tab if you are so inclined. So the top 5 rate for Jake Knap is 6%. It's like Patrick Cantley-esque. He is just a cooler, more jacked Patrick Cantley. Just does not seem to make it into the top 5 ever. But top 10s, he's doing basically 40% of the time, and top 20s, he's doing more than half the time. So we're getting odds that reflect he does it slightly less than half the time. This is also a 50-man field, as I just mentioned a bit ago. So it's basically finished inside the top half of this field at plus money. Love that for Jake Knap. The reason he's 24th in the model, despite some really good finishes in the last two, we got that 7th at the St. Jude and the 13th at the 3M. A multitude of miscuts and a 55th at the Travelers in a 70-man field. No good over there. So we are returning back from the injury. If you take a look at his overall form over the last 12 months, he's pretty solid. You know, gaining 1.5 strokes on the field, but then the last 4 months, he's only gaining half a stroke on the field. So Jake Knap, you know, he's coming back from the injury, so the stats aren't necessarily going to be helping him with this 15% kind of hurting him a little bit. But I do think the safety as a top 20 bet is there. Medium and easy scoring conditions, it's the 2 best stats he has in this field. It's obviously a top 10. It's the only box he checked. So love the course fit, love the distance narrative. He's also one of the guys that really struggles around the green. Again, the more you struggle around the green, the more I kind of like you this week, because you're going to be chipping a lot, especially if you're hitting a lot of fairways, if you're hitting a lot of green irregulations like he does. He's got a lot of distance to help him get out of that thick rough. A lot to like about Jake Knap at a top 20 at plus 110. Love that bet. Love that Jake Knap bet over there. Then we're going to go to our next guy, who we've kind of skipped over at $6,900 over here. 9th in the model, Alex Noren. Top 10 at plus 370. We're going to be betting, I think, 0.3 units on that to get our full return of a unit. And then we're going to be betting a 0.1 unit on the plus 950 top 5. I think he's 80 to 1 to win the tournament. I just don't think Alex Noren's going to win the tournament. But I do think he's going to finish close to the top 5, and I really hope he finishes top 10. At those odds, we have to risk very minimal, little amounts of dollars. He's one of the best bent grass greens putters in the field, along with Bermuda. Just doesn't have a ton of distance, but he's going to be really hitting a lot of fairways in this field. So along with the bent grass putting surfaces, we're going to get Alex Noren 7th in this course fit model, which is nice to see. Does okay in medium and easy scoring conditions. Not too crazy, not too bad. I think, you know, sprinkling in a bit of love on Alex Noren there, and then off we go. Just kind of taking advantage of what the model's popping out here. He's been really popping off pretty hard for us in the model lately, and we've got an 18th, a 7th, and a 3rd in his last 3 starts. Love that for Alex Noren. Not remotely caring that much about bad results here in 2018. That was so 2018 ago. So not worried about that. Siwoo Kim again also missed the cut. Alex Noren missed the cut. If you had a good finish here, cool. I don't care. You know, if I like you, that's good for me. If I don't, then whatever. You know, it's just there for you guys if you want to see what these guys got up to in 2018. It's a long time ago. You know, think about what I was doing in 2018. I wasn't even thinking about being behind a camera. Now, here we are chatting to you guys. So I appreciate every single one of you tuning in today. So Alex Noren top 5 plus 950 at DraftKings, ties paid in full. Alex Noren top 10 plus 370 at DraftKings, ties paid in full. Let's go get those 2 units with top 5 there. I just don't see him winning the damn tournament, but I love him at $6,900. I love him going over there as well. To close out our betting segment here, we're going to remind you, Collin Morikawa at 38 to 1 right now on DraftKings. Waiting for that to potentially drift even more. You know, once tomorrow's books open up again and readjust or whatever, I don't know when they do all of that stuff as they go throughout the day potentially. We're just going to keep an eye out there. Once a 40 shows up, we'll pounce, But even if the 38's out there, we're going to rock and roll with that. So we have got Collin Morikawa at 38-1, call it. Windham Clark, 35-1. And then we have one more outright that I actually want to mention to you guys, which we have not spoken about. And his name is Christopher Wright, 90-1 with the 5 places. If we take a look at Chris Wright, he's 32nd in the model. This is a bit of a maniac read over here. $6,500, 32nd in the model, 58th at the St. Jude, just finished top 20 at the Open, and 22nd at the Travelers. The Travelers, I think, is bent grass greens. So you got to enjoy that about that. If you go over to his strokes gained on bent grass greens, we can filter by the best to the worst. There's Chris Wright, right up over here, number 10 in the model. So the 10th best putter on bent grass greens over the last 2 years, basically. If we go over to who does the best on bent versus other surfaces, Christopher Wright is second to Collin Morikawa. So there's Ryan Fox for you, and there's Michael Thorbjornsen. So 2 guys that were mentioned in the chat. Like to see that for you guys over there. Where was this? Yeah. So big hitters, Thorbjornsen, he's one of them. Love what's going on in that department for you. Here's Christopher Wright gaining the 10th most strokes on bent grass greens and doing good work over there. So love what Wrighton's getting up to here. He's got ample distance. He won the Truist, a.k.a. the Wells Fargo, a.k.a. at Quail Hollow. A big ballpark. I think that is that 7,600 yards long? 7,450 this week, past 70, long golf course. This is what Wrighton's going to get up to. He's got the juice off the tee. If you take a look at the ball striking, he's not necessarily going to show up to us that much, but he's got periods of time where he was playing some better golf over the last 4 months. Here he is here, 18th, 15th or so in the model for the last little while. In the ball striking front over the last 4 months. So he's got the potential to gain intense amounts of strokes, but he's kind of lost some consistency. He is actually 90-1. We spoke about this already when it comes to Christopher Wright, and I love the idea of him being a very good driver of the golf ball. Strokes gained off the tee, he's one of the best in the field. In fact, if you take a look at it, there's only Cameron Young, Michael Brennan, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, and Rory McIlroy gaining more strokes off the tee than Christopher Wright. We know that he's top 10 in putting on bent grass greens. So that's 2 of the 3 boxes we are checking. And then we're going to go ahead and hopefully hope that the approach play can come through for us, because he's not a very good around the green player, but that's fine. Again, higher green regulation rates here than normal. I think with his distance, he can really find a lot more greens as well. Eliminate that around the green disaster land and just try and find a good iron week. If we can get a good iron week like we got at the Truist, let's go. I'm all about Christopher Wright in that situation. 2 very elite skill sets on bent and off the tee. Got to find that iron play. And then that 90-1 with the 5 places at a quarter is plus 225. Plus 2250 for that top 5 there. If you split that down the each way calculation there. So not going to find a better top 5 number out there, even without ties or anything like that. So I really like that 90 on Wright. We'll see what happens, man. I don't believe he's going to win. He's 90-1. I don't ever believe anyone's going to win that I bet on. But hey, if he can get it home, he can get it home. So I'm all in on Wright this week. I really like his profile at $6,500. I think he can be quite sneaky this week as well. We'll get into that all as we rock and roll. But in the meantime, we're going to do a quick little hangout and do some DFS stuff here once we get back from a quick word from our partner. New DraftKings customers, get in the game right now. Sign up today and make your first deposit of just $5 and instantly get $25 in free Pick 6 bonus picks, plus a powerful single-use 100% winnings boost token. That means you can play for free with $25 in bonus picks, and if you win, boost those winnings up to 100%. That's up to $100 boost in cash. New customers only. Bonus picks and your boost token expire in just 14 days, so don't wait. This offer is live from June 20th through August 23rd. Download the DraftKings app, sign up, and start playing Pick 6 today. Must be 18 or older, 19 in Alabama, Nebraska, 21 in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Valid only where Pick6 is available. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. New customers only, minimum $5 deposit required. Full terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Play free, win bigger, only on DraftKings Pick6. Oakley dokley, welcome back, friends. Thank you for listening to that. That's what pays the bills. We appreciate DraftKings sponsoring the show. We appreciate you guys listening to the show. Let's dive into this week's DFS portion of the show here. We're going to be going through all 50 names. I've got most of them highlighted different colors down this column over here. For those of you listening, I'll do my best to kind of describe what's going on. But for those of you watching, I've got the box up top here. If you get a pink fill in this box, it means I'm lusting over you, which means I want you in 50% or more of my lineups. 20 to 50% is love. That's like the turquoise blue. Then we're going to go like 10 to 20% of lineups, which is green. Less is going to be 5 to 10%. Little is going to be less than 5% in orange. And then leave is going to be red. So it's leave, little, less, like, love, lust. You know, the 5 L's, the 6 L's over there of colors for our color coding. It's kind of like the rainbow, except the pink is also at the good side of it. So love that. I could probably make it purple, to be honest with you, but purple doesn't pop nearly as much as pink, and we don't have any pink here anyway this week. So that's what's going on there. Scotty Scheffler, we spoke about already. Just going to have him in the field. I think I actually have ownership pulled up for us too. These tee times are misleading. Don't worry about them. Don't trust them at all. Here's our ownership. Scotty Scheffler coming in at 27% projected as of Tuesday afternoon. I think I'm cool with that. You know, just play him in round about a quarter of your lineups. Maybe we can go, you know, I'm not going to make it blue. I'm going to leave it green. Let's play him in 20%. 1/5 of your lineups, call it a day. Off you go. I was interested in Rory McIlroy a little more, expecting this ownership to be closer to the Tommy Fleetwood ownership at 14%. He's currently looking at 19% total ownership for Rory. Me and Kenny were thinking maybe he could sneak in at like sub 10% in some spots. Maybe in a single entry, you can find that kind of stuff with everyone going to Scotty or Sam Burns instead. He's $11,400 though compared to Scotty Scheffler. So if Rory's going to be 20% owned, I'm probably going to leave him alone. You know, like that is the situation here. Monitoring the ownership on McIlroy, he was going to be a fun GPP leverage game theory play. If he's going to be 1/5 of the field, he's not playing good golf right now, to be honest with you. But I do think that this golf course gives him an opportunity to find some form. I'm happy to leave him alone if 1/5 of the field is going to do so. That would upgrade Scotty Scheffler to more lineups for sure. So this is part of the process. This is how you guys see behind the curtain over here. Tommy Fleetwood will likely get a couple more lineups now from me since, you know, we're not going to be playing Rory McIlroy. This is a game time decision I made on the show once I just uploaded ownership right before the show began. So if that goes the way we're expecting it to go here, I'm out on Rory. I'm in on Scotty a little more. And then Tommy Fleetwood, Sam Burns. I think we might have to lean a little more on Tommy than we wanted to, but we'll definitely go heavy with Sam Burns as the number 2 option in our player pool per the model. So $10,400, 20% owned. We already got Sam Burns in our top 20, the 20-1 outright. Let's get it. I would be shocked if Xander Schauffele comes in more owned than Sam Burns, despite the $500 pay down. Xander is interesting. We've got now a 7th and a 2nd in his last 2 starts. Love to see that. That 7th place was courtesy of a classic Xander Schauffele backdoor. Started Sunday outside the top 10. Finished 7th. I think he shot one of the better rounds of the day. You know, it's just been a bit of a slog for Xander Schauffele. If you take a look at this top 5 rate, 21%, you know, that's less than Ludwig, less than Cam Young, less than Fitz, less than Siwoo, less than Tommy, less than Rory, less than Scotty, by a long way. But, you know, he starts to catch up to all those guys in the top 20 market. His safety has been absurd. Shout out him cashing our 7-1 top 20 in all 4 majors bet. that's what you like Xander Schauffele for. So, I was expecting Xander to be a little less owned. If he's going to be one of the highest owned options in the slate, I'm okay kind of just having him in a lineup or two. 5 to 10% for Xander over there. Ludwig as well, coming in very popular. Going to monitor this ownership, but again, that wasn't looking like I was going to play him anyway. When ownership is clumping hard around these three guys in this range, and they all three rank outside the top 10 for me, they seem like fair fade-ish situations, So we're going to lean in to Siwoo Kim, Matt Fitzpatrick, down below these guys who are coming in at 8 to 5 to 6% less ownership than Xander, Ludwig, and Cameron Young. Obviously, if I were to just say how this course should fit all three of them, they all exorbitantly long off the tee. They're fantastic drivers of the golf ball who are currently searching for some stuff. Like Cameron Young in particular, after that Open Championship, things have gone like desperately bad for him. The 61st at the Windham was disaster, and then 39th at the St. Jude was not very good either. Both of those coming on Bermuda surfaces. Cameron Young, fantastic on Bermuda. Not so much on bent compared to what he gets up to. Like he was gaining almost, if you take a look at putting over here, we go Bermuda surfaces. We've got Matt Fitzpatrick. Here's Cameron Young, gaining half a stroke on the field over the last little while. And that includes what he's got up to on the greens at the Windham and the St. Jude. I think he was gaining with the putter actually at the St. Jude, but he hit water ball after water ball, blah. But again, bent grass greens, not necessarily his best surface. Here are guys like Nico Echeverria, does a lot of good work on Bermuda. Now we're going to see him come back to some bent grass where he's neutral. Not necessarily his best surface. Same with Matt Fitzpatrick. Significant downgrade on bent grass greens versus Bermuda. But again, Matt Fitzpatrick, when it comes to ball striking, is going to be one of the premier guys. Not over the last 4 months. Maybe if we can find Matt Fitzpatrick over the last... Wow. We've got to go 8 months to find a Matt Fitzpatrick really dark green box towards the top half of the field here. I kind of like Fitzy. The model's liking him a lot. I just don't know where his game is right now. We got a really good surge coming down to 12th place at the St. Jude, but it was a double bogey on the last hole that hurt us with the outright each way there. Unfortunately, didn't come home for us. So ownership has me leaning there a bit more. Checks the 5 boxes. That's as many as Scotty Rory and Tommy Fleetwood this week. Got to like Fitzy. We'll trust the model a little bit. Ownership looks preferable in that situation. So eating the chalk on Sam, we'll leave these guys alone at the top of the board here. To some capacity, might play a bit of them. Leave Cameron Young alone probably entirely. There we go. Okay, so Siwoo Kim will play, Matt Fitzpatrick will play. Hideki is playing some fantastic golf right now. 6th consecutive start in a row for Hideki. 6 weeks in a row. That's a lot of golf. But he has not played worse than a 14th at the Open Championship, 3rd at the 3M, 5th at the Rocket, 7th at the Windham, 7th at the St. Jude. So playing some good golf, $9,000 flat. I feel like that's a very fair price point for Hideki Matsuyama. He is a short game wizard. Around the green is going to be his specialty, but he's still gaining off the fairways right now, hitting a lot of fairways recently. Love to see that. And then the iron play is fantastic. He's very, very good at the rough. A very neutral. This entire 9K range is lacking pop on bent grass greens. Every one of them. From Xander all the way through Victor Hovland. They are totaling 0.1 strokes gain per round on bent grass greens. The best putter in this range is Cameron Young and Ludwig Oberg, gaining 0.2 strokes on bent grass greens. If we go to Windham Clark beneath them, he's gaining half a stroke on bent grass greens. Sam Burns gaining 3/4 of a stroke. All the guys ahead of them, Rory, Tommy, and Scotty, gaining more than 0.45, gaining more than 0.4 strokes on bent grass greens. So if we're looking for guys to make putts, the law of average is going to tell us one of these guys at least is going to find some success on bent grass greens, even though their pre-tournament stats isn't going to reflect that. But Who's it going to be? How are we going to know? It's easier to project who's going to putt well when they putt well on these surfaces. We don't know who the hell it's going to be. Matt Fitzpatrick almost losing a full stroke putting per round, going from Bermuda to Bentgrass. So, whereas Siwoo is still losing a lot on Bentgrass, but not nearly as much as he did on Bermuda. So it's kind of like not a good look for him, but better than what it was on Bermuda. So there you have it. Matt Fitzpatrick also does fantastic work in easy scoring. Kind of jumping over the board here, but this is how the board is presenting itself to us. Chris Goddard up at 19% ownership is scary as well. I was looking earlier. I've got this column over here for ownership minus top 5 percentage. I feel like that's a very good way to kind of determine, is this guy worth rostering at this kind of ownership? What is the top 5 rate for this dude? Is he going to provide you with more top 5s than over the last 12 months than you will have ownership on him? And Chris Goddard finishes inside the top 5 13% of the time. He also wins 13% of his tournaments. So every time he's finished top 5, he's also won the tournament. So that 13% counts a lot. Maybe if I add the win rate to that, we're going to get Goddard up to like 7% overboard over there. Siwoo Kim obviously doesn't change because he's got 0 wins. Patrick Cantley doesn't change. He's got 0 wins. And he's got one of the biggest differences in top 5 rate versus win percentage. Ownership rate versus top 5 rate is Patrick Cantley's like diabolically bad. So there you have that. Windham Clark does good in that department despite a really poor start to the season. The last couple months have been a lot better for him in that department too. So fifth at the St. Jude for Windham. Like to see what's going on over there. If I were to color Hideki's box one way or another, this Goddard ownership is scary. I liked him as like a shot in the dark, a dark horse. Excuse me. 45 minutes. Let me have a sip of this Fresca. By the way, this Fresca Black Cherry Citrus, delightful flavor. Delightful flavor. Can't go wrong with it. Obviously, there's sparkling in it, so when you have a sip on stream, you get the bit of the burpees. But, handling it okay for the most part. So, good, refreshing, almost tastes like it should be soda, but 0 calories, blah, blah, blah. There's your seltzer water review of the show for us. Maybe we'll get sponsored one way or another. All right, so Chris Goddard has been downgraded. Hideki Matsuyama has got to be upgraded to like just a green, 10 to 20% of my lineups. Victor Hovland, 20% owned. We did great last week, kind of just leaving him alone. I had him in one and done. I was feeling great about it. On Saturday, he was leading the tournament. On Sunday, he finished T19. There's your Victor Hovland experience. Play him in Showdown after a bad round. See how it goes. Okay. By the way, currently chatting with AI, currently with Claude, some Showdown stuff. 2027, fall swing. If you are in the Model Maniac Patreon, you will likely get some beta testing links for me, which will have some badass tools. All my Showdown stuff that I do after every single round is going to be on a website now. Basically what you see on the Google Sheets, and it's going to be tailored to mobile devices. So those of you that use your phone for all the research and all my tools, I'm thinking about you. It'll obviously work on desktop. It won't be catered to desktop, but all the information will be there. Give me that. Just thought I'd share that little update with you guys. Good things to come. I'll be working on that the next couple of weeks to make sure that by the time the fall swing rolls through, we've got at least that Showdown section figured out. It's going to be a really cool tool for you guys so that you don't have to wait for me to update everything after the round. It's all going to get done on its own. And then I can go in on the back end and fiddle around with some color coding and comments and notes, that kind of stuff. But it will be website-based for mobile. So looking forward to that for you guys. Let me know if you are a mobile guy. Hit me up in the comments because I think that's what people want. I'm not entirely sure, though. So Victor Hovland doing his thing. Poorly, just not grading out fantastic here. Mini Maniac up and about. We're going to have to see if she hangs out, but we're going to try and power through some stuff. Spoke about Patrick Cantley being a very middle of the pack kind of guy. In on Collin, in on Windham Clark quite heavily. If Collin Morikawa comes in at 13%, I'm going to just keep the less percent he comes in owned, the more I'm going to be playing him. Kind of exacerbate that leverage we're getting from a fourth-ranked Collin Morikawa on bent grass greens after some poor performances on Bermuda. So there we have that. Russell Henley is going to be 8% owned. I'll take a gamble on him at $8,400. He's a safe option, finishing inside the top 20. He's back to Sex Panther. Full-on Sex Panther, authentic here. 60% of the time, finish inside the top 20 every time. That's the thing with old Sex Panther McGee. We struggled a little bit last week with that top 30. I don't necessarily love the course fit for Russell this week. We'll leave him alone in that market, but we'll be playing him at $8,400, 8% owned. Justin Thomas, guys, he finished 6th here. Last time they played at Bellerive, back in 2018 when he was still good. He's going to be 12% owned. He's got a 6% top 5 rate. Not good there. Finishes inside the top 20, half of his starts. At $8,300, I'll take Russell Henley instead. Everything is better about Russell Henley than Justin Thomas. Give me Jake Knap, who's finishing inside the top 10, double the amount of time than Justin Thomas. So that's just how we're going to be rocking and rolling here. Jake Knap makes a lot of sense at $8,200. Hilariously, at the St. Jude, he was in the 6K range. Jumped $1,000+ in DK pricing just because of one good result again. So Jake Knap makes a lot of sense. Justin Thomas does not, in my opinion. We'll be leaving him alone. Tom Kim at 10% owned. He could be a sneaky little option because he doesn't necessarily fit that bomb and gouge narrative, but he can find a lot of fairways. He can get scorched earth with the irons, can make a lot of putts. How does Timothy look on bent grass greens? He's very neutral in that department. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll see. Maverick McNeely, where in the hell are we going to find a top 10 for this guy? 9% of the time he's finishing inside the top 10. No top 5s in the last 12 months. But he's finishing inside the top 20 like 39% of the time. Just can't convert. Just cannot convert. So zero upside for Mav. He's not a DFS play at all for me. Kurt Kitayama is going to be quite popular. Makes a lot of sense. 12th place finish. 24th at the 3M. Lost to like about kitty. Bang, bang. But struggles on the bent grass greens. Maybe the Bermuda was doing a bit better work for him over there. Does Kurt Kitayama show up anytime soon? Slightly better on Bermuda than he is bent. Nothing too crazy. I don't think those splits matter that much. Kind of like that for Kurt Kitayama going forward. We'll just play him a bit at $7,900. A little Maniac override versus the rankings here. This is where we're going over there. Ryan Gerard. Gerard Butler. We've got the 9th at the Open, the 8th at the Rocket, 24th at the St. Jude. He's playing some good golf. 26th at the at He's putting well. He doesn't drive it necessarily very far, but he will be finding a lot of fairways. Doesn't hit a lot of greens, but, at 9% owned, put him in a lineup of 1 of every 10 type thing. Bobby Mack is a very intriguing situation. WD'd last week. He's going to be 6% owned. I don't mind having him in here at this kind of ownership. If you have a 10% stake in Robert McIntyre, who long-term grades out 16th for me, he putts very well on Bermuda. He's got these massive greens to aim at, and he's typically a very good driver of the golf ball. He's been playing like a total loser the last little while, though. Missed the cut at the St. Jude, 28th at the Open, and then, the last 3 starts have been very good. Travelers 10th, Scottish 3rd, the Open 28th. Showed up to the St. Jude and withdrew after 1 round. So the 6% is warranted, but it provides an opportunity for something. If you're in the big GPPs, minimal investment there, you can kind of sneak him into some lineups. I think he could provide you with a sneaky return if he does somehow get in to the top 10 off a $7,700 salary with some good bent grass putting splits. You never know. Kind of keep an eye out for some news on him if there's any injuries or anything like that, as Golf Channel reports, etc., etc. But always worth monitoring. We get JJ Spahn back on bent grass greens. He's going to be losing strokes putting in there. He always loses strokes putting. I see the chat was chatting about what about JJ Spahn this week. Is Chris not asking that? He grades out fantastic, and I've always been on JJ Spahn from the beginning of the year for best ball. I've bet him to start the year. Then he got vertigo in San Diego, and that hurt him. And then he figured his stuff out. Then he won the Valero. Then we all got back on him, and basically since then it's been nothing but disaster as well. You know, like his last couple starts, the only start since the US Open that's been good was inside the top 30 was the Travelers where he finished 7th. So it's been quite poor over the last little while. He's going to provide you with a leverage opportunity. Finished 35th here back in 2018. Not that that means anything, but, you know, like, just play him to the field at this price point. Not overly thrilled about it. What I am thrilled about is Michael Thorbjornsen, the Rocket Mortgage, bent grass greens, St. Jude, Bermuda, the Open, Fescue, the Scottish, Fescue, John Deere Classic. Excuse me. Missed the cut. It is what it is. I'm not too worried about that. He's an... I don't know. He's not grading out well. He's a chipper, not a putter, but he putted well on bent at the Rocket. I like a driver-heavy golf course for him. Kind of, I'm just going to maybe maniac override this feeling here, but at 12%. Ricky Fowler. What are we doing, Ricky? Gets on these hot runs. Top 20, top 20, top 20. Get to St. Jude 34th. I don't know what to make of that. So we're going to just leave Ricky alone. We're going to leave him alone. I can't figure him out in that situation. Michael Brennan makes a lot of sense from a course fit. Just hammer the drives out there. Played some good golf the last couple weeks. Won the Windham Championship. Obviously, then you got to go and play the St. Jude to kind of get the next week. Blah, blah, blah. He will be now looking at, what is this? His 8th straight tournament. I don't know if I like that, to be honest with you. 13% owned. Not grading out the greatest. I think we can leave him alone there, actually. Not little him. Leave him. This golf course makes a lot of sense for Minwoo Lee. If you think about the Rocket Mortgage, he does well there. Typically lose putts poorly on bent grass greens, though. He's been putting bad lately. Got lots of distance. 13% owned. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he shows up here. The Scottish Open is his best finish in the last couple with a second. Then the next best finish is a 55th. 13% ownership. Leave him alone. Can't justify that. Adam Scott, 16% ownership, $7,100. We got a 9th at the Open, a 12th at the St. Jude, and we got a 6th place finish here, a 3rd place finish here back in 2018. Adam Scott doing the Lord's work, $7,100. I think we're going to have to play him. He's really showing some good form. He checks a lot of boxes. The bent grass putting, not the greatest, but again, it should be getting better and better. For Adam, I'd imagine he's putting better since the last 2 weeks. In that capacity, but Jesus, that's a lot of ownership for somebody. Going to be monitoring that situation over there in the meantime. Sungjae Im going from Bermuda to bent grass greens is going to change a lot of stuff over there for him. He's easily one of the better Bermuda putters versus a bent grass putter. He loses about half a stroke on the greens, so that's 2 strokes per tournament less on bent versus Bermuda. He did just have his best iron play performance of the week at the St. Jude, so maybe that's showing up just in time to offset the losses we could expect. Again, this is going to be his 10th consecutive start. Not worried about that for Sanjay. That's staple, that's status quo. But at 9% ownership on these kind of greens, I'm okay just hoping that we see some regression. I'll be back on Alex Noren. He's going to be 11% owned. Michael Brennan, Minwoo Lee, JJ. He's going to be as owned as JJ Spahn almost. You know, like, give me Alex Noren heavily. $6,900. I'm not worried about jumping from Bermuda to bent because I know he still putts well on these bent grass greens. So, do I like the fact that he's a short plotter? No. But do I love the fact that he's finished 18th, 7th, and 3rd in the last 3 times he's played? He's missed 2 tournaments in between the Open and the Windham. So, not running on fumes, but he's playing his 3rd straight event, and the last 2 starts have been 7th and 3rd. We've got that top 5. We've got that top 10 on Alex Noren. Going to be playing him quite a lot this week. Remember, bent grass greens, medium and easy scoring. Doing good work there. Going from bent grass greens to Ben Griffin, who's smoking grass on the greens. I just don't understand what has happened to this guy's game. I think we do. We all know it was the marriage. Nothing, no top 40s in the last 4 events for Ben Griffin. That's just a no. No. Justin Rose is all of a sudden 12% because Justin Rose played here and finished 19th in 2018. Justin Rose won the St. Jude last year. Now Justin Rose is going to be $6,800. He's 17th in the model, 12% owned. Doesn't check any boxes, but putts fantastic on bent grass greens. We had a really good iron performance the last couple weeks. Hits a lot of green regulations. Putts very nicely. Typically keeps his ball in front of him off the tee. So there's a lot to like about Justin Rose. We haven't clicked too many names down here. Obviously, it doesn't take much for me to be in the Justin Rose pond. We've faded worse options. At $6,800, you are getting that price tag because of his lack of consistency. It's definitely not got to do with anything ceiling related. Because Justin Rose trounced the field at the Farmers. Justin Rose, non-stop top 15s, top 10s in majors, 11th at the US Open, doing some good work in that department. Give me some Justin Rosie. Jacob Bridgman, he's like a poor man's Patrick Cantley, just finishing between 39th and 26th non-stop. That's meaningless to me this week. So just leaving him alone. Just everything red over there. That's the wrong section of the sheet here, Byron. Let's get the red line where it belongs. Alex Smalley, on the other hand, 7th at the Windham, 24th at St. Jude. Putts nicely on bent grass greens. PGA Championship at Aronimink. Second at Aronimink, the major PGA Championship. We are back on bent grass greens. He's a ball striker, flusher, mother busher. Like medium conditions, get it on those. Green regulation rate's going to be one of the best in the field. On the putting surfaces, one of the betters. Not necessarily the greatest around the greens. Don't care about that this week. So this is where we want to be looking over here. Take a look at the green regulation rates. Where's Alex Smalley? That's strokes gained approach. We want GIR rates. Alex Smalley is going to be only behind Matt Fitzpatrick, Sam Burns, Adam Scott, and Scotty Scheffler. So Alex Smalley, 5th in the field in expected GIR percentage this week. Hits a lot of fairways. He's neutral in distance, and we are going to be putting nicely. I fancy the fuck out of Alex Smalley this week. Let's go. 9%. I'm cool with that. Give me Alex Smalley over Justin Thomas. Give me Alex Smalley over all these other bums that we're overrating with 12, 13% ownership in this department. Like Kurt Kitayama, give me Alex Smalley instead, kind of thing. But we are playing Kurt Kitayama too. We are also fading here. Minwoo Lee, Michael Brennan. Smalley's a better golfer than Minwoo Lee for sure. Michael Brennan is interesting. We are fading him because of the non-stop golf he's been playing. I mean, the guy must be just empty on the gas tank there. So I like where we're going with Alex Smalley there. We can get him at single-digit ownership. I'm in. Going to be playing him in 20 to 50% of lineups. Like that a lot. Over there for us. What's up, Chad Candles, by the way? Leading the Model Maniac one and done. So likely going to have a free year subscription to that next year, unless the field can dominate. I am also going to be doing a fall swing 3 and done. For a reset, for those of you that are out and getting your ass kicked by Chad, we're going to do a 3 and done in the Model Maniac Discord. Winner of that tournament also gets a free month, a full year worth of subscription to the Model Maniac Patreon. We'll do a little expedited fall swing adventure there for us all. Kind of get the vibes high again in the chat there and rock and roll now that the season's kind of coming down to a close. Want to keep you guys, entertained to some capacity and have incentives to keep your eye on the ball, so to speak. So you are most welcome for having another great show, Justin Crosby. Really appreciate you being in the chat. Trev Hugh is asking, what about Slick Rick and JT Postman? Spoke about Slick Rick already. I just don't understand what to do with Ricky Fowler. He's going to be a little less than 5% for me. Not necessarily that interested. JT Poston, we haven't even got to yet. He's 40th in the model. I'd probably go Christopher Wrighton over JT. 10% for Wrighton's getting a little spendy, but we're going to be rostering a decent chunk of Wrighton, especially pivoting off of Gary Woodland, who I think is just getting modeled here for a good course fit. He's not the greatest in easy scoring conditions, blah, 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 blah. So not entirely sure where everyone's coming from the Gary Woodland side of things. What did he play well? Yeah, last time. Yeah. A 6th place finish at this event back in the day makes a lot of sense. This was also 2018. When did Gary Woodland win the US Open? Was it right around then? Had he just won the US Open and then finished 6th here? Yeah. Like the best thing, Gary Woodland, I guess he finished 7th at the US Open a little bit ago, and 10th at the 3M. So starting to pop, but again, that floor is bad for Gary at a course like this. His biggest issue is around the green. Don't mind that being a non-factor this week. So I think we're going to have to bite the bullet. Maybe we just play a little bit of Gary, just have some exposure to him, but I'm not going to go overboard there. If we are playing Gary Woodland at this golf course because of the course fit, you got to play the guy that finished 2nd to Gary Woodland at the Houston, which is Nikolai Højgaard, our outright during that week, who never stood a single chance at any point during the week. He's going to be 4% less owned than Gary and actually grades out much better. Like Gary's grading out 49th for me this week. It's not looking good. Let's just take a stand. That could, if he sucks, that's 15% of the chance that he's out of there, and there's a good chance that he does. There's also a good chance he screws us. He's been popping and he hasn't. 71st at the Travelers. I think that's dead last. Missed the cut at the Open, 10th at the 3M, 42nd at the St. Jude. Let's just play a little bit of Gary. Just match the field to at 10% capacity there. Although he's going to come in at 15%. So rough stuff there. Nikolai Højgaard makes a lot of sense, yeah. But hasn't been playing the greatest golf, but does make a lot of sense at his price at 6,700. Let's actually just do yellow there. Not necessarily super thrilled about him. I'm changing colors that don't even exist here. There we go. Yellow. Bud Colley, 12th at the St. Jude. Pops and gums. Does his thing. Putting on bent grass. He's neutral. Easy medium, not necessarily his best suit. He's just a meh, like whatever. Don't think I'll be playing him. Alex Fitzpatrick has just fallen off a cliff. Don't like him on bent. Don't like him on Bermuda. Don't like him anywhere. Don't like him on this course. Just going to leave him alone, sadly. JT Poston, US Open. Showed up. Peeled out. Nothing since. Whatever. Can't give you much on JT Poston. Not going to be playing him. Aaron Wright, don't think this is a good course fit for him when you can't even finish inside the top 20 at the Windham, which is like a perfect course fit for you. I'm not interested. Aaron Wright, just one of these guys is going to pop. I'm just, not playing that many lineups this week anyway, so likely not going to be having these guys in here. Akshay playing some poor golf as well the last little while. 34th in the model, if you want to play him a little bit, play him a little bit. I'm not going to take you off of him. Same thing with Eric Cole at $6,300. He's going to be one of the lesser owned guys. I think he does have a bit more poppage than the rest. Akshay, I guess, does have some upside. So does, Wrighton's got a lot of upside too. So Eric Cole, I'll take a bit of Eric Cole, Kane over there. Rio Hatsune has been playing like dog shit the last little while as well. Since the John Deere 9th place, that was basically the highlight of his year. Outside of the Farmers 2nd place finish, not interested in Rio. Spoke about Ryan Fox, but again, like 10%, $6,200 Ryan Fox. The cat is out of the bag, friends. Everyone knows the rust is off. That Sunday looked good. Good on bent grass greens, blah de blah. At 10%, we've faded enough guys to kind of go to Foxy here. Mentioned earlier we liked him. Sahith Thagala can't seem to find a consistent week. I blame the bad juju, which is his fiance. Literally named Juju Chan. Nico Echeverria, gone from, look at this. Nico just doing nothing. Bermuda, 12-12. Now we're back on bent. Expect nothing again. Famous last words. So, Sepp Straka, 8% owned, negative in the model, had one good Sunday. Boom. Now all of a sudden everyone's chatting about Sepp. Is he back? 8% for 6K. Sure, do what you got to do. We'll match the field. Whatever. Granted, are we really going to overreact to one good round? Again, at the same time, $6,000, that can change your life when it comes to salary savings over there. Matt McCarty, we're in Missouri where weed is legal. Weed is legal in Missouri. Don't ask me why I know that, but Matt McCarty, $6,000 flat, 4% owned. Bet Mystic has a belief that when you can smoke the Leafs, Matt McCarty does his best in those states where it's legal. He's not breaking the law to try and get his high in there. He's doing his thing. So $6,000 flat. He's good on bentgrass greens. Don't mind a little sprinkle on Matt McCarty instead of going to Sepp Straka at 6K flat. You can go to Matt McCarty, who I think is going to party this week in Missouri. Missouri Matt is the way we're going there. So I believe we've covered the entire slate, friends. You've got color codes for it all available to you guys in the Model Maniac Patreon. Use code BETS26. Get yourself 50% off this month or 50% off the year. Dog Dominator included in the annual subscription. 50% off of that, using BETS26. Please sign up today. We'd appreciate that for you. Get in the Model Maniac Discord. Get in the Patreon there. Lots to like. As always, shows brought to you by DraftKings. Use code FGD when you are signing up. Fun show, quick show. Not that much to chat about for the BMW Championship. We've got Windham Clark, we've got Collin Morikawa, we've got Christopher Wrighton, and we've got Samuel Burns for our outrights. Got a couple other placements that we went with. We've got Jake Knap, top 20, Alex Noren, top 10 and top 5, and we've got Sam Burns for a top 10 as well. We will be adding a Windham Clark top 10 to some capacity, top 5 to get involved there. Once some boosts come out, once we get it all figured out there. So lots to like. Appreciate you all. Always good to have a great show, Justin. I appreciate that from earlier. Let's have a good week. We'll see you for the Tour Championships. Mini Maniac number 2 is imminent. September 13th is due date. We'll obviously keep you posted. Maybe I have a feeling it's going to show up on the bye week. We'll see. But hopefully before the President's Cup, because I want to watch some President's Cup with a little baby in my arms, just having a good time. So we'll see how that all works out. But till then, friends, we will love and leave you. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.